But the whole idea is to cause people to be frightened. And in order to frighten people, frightened and fearful people will do things for you. They will submit to you if they're sufficiently frightened. And so the governmental context of what I'm saying is that the government of this country wants people to be frightened. That's why they're continually turning criminals back out into the streets. They 15 people in a McDonald's, they get a $250 fine and a 3 years in jail, which is, and then when we find out what actually happened, they got 1 year and the fine was commuted. And so they're back on the streets, they're turning back onto the streets. There's no doubt in my mind that it is not because of loss of space, so they don't have the space for the criminal. They got space for you if you don't pay your taxes. The point is that they want as much chaos in society. Came out a long time ago, and since then the FBI has concluded the same thing, that the truly criminal element in America is less than 1% of the total population of America are truly criminal element. 1% or less are the real serious criminals. Logic alone would tell you that if you put those people in jail or you put them to death, you don't have any more serious crime. Now what? Now you have very little need for the police department. You have very little need. The people now have more time to think about things. They don't have to worry about their children. They don't have to worry about their family. They don't have to worry about crime in the streets. Consequently, they can concentrate now on who's running this government, how fair are the equitable are the laws, and so therefore it's better to keep people occupied. We've known that for a long time. But that's why politics is called political science. There is a method to controlling people. Politics is referred to as political science. It's a science. If you can keep people organized, keep people disorganized, frightened, fearful, broke, that's another thing. They want to keep you financially in a hole. Then people are subservient to you. You do not want people to become self-sufficient and have enough money that they don't have to listen to you. You need crime, and you'll see why. And I'll show you today why you need a lot of crime. You need to let criminals back out into the streets. They talk about something, if you think about the logic of behind these rules and behind these new laws we have, it's absolutely insanity. A criminal goes out, he shoots somebody, what do? They take the gun away from the criminal and they let the criminal go free. Then they say that there's just a proliferation of crime. We can't do anything about this crime that's out of control, the drug and all that's going on and the gangs each other. But the point is that if you don't pay your income tax, or if you do something that's against the government, the system of things, if you get out of line, they will find you. The IRS will find you if you don't pay your income tax. You can go into the Amazon jungles, and they will come down there looking for you. And if they have to spend $7 million, they're going to find you, and they're going to bring you back here and make an example out of you. So if they have the power, this is the most powerful military nation on the face of the earth, ever devised by men. This nation is the most powerful military combine on earth. It has always been. And if you think about the time back in, 50 years ago in 1940, when the United States was a very country, it didn't have all of the high technology it has today. And just within a couple of short years, it got its stuff together and was able to meet Adolf Hitler on the field of battle throughout the world and was able to do battle with the whole empire. But they can't do anything about the diplomacy. The problem is that they have total control over everything. So anytime you see things going on, understand that the powers that be in this government want it that way. Franklin Roosevelt, probably most of you don't remember who he was. He was one of the presidents. Franklin Roosevelt made a statement publicly that I think is very important. He said that anytime you see anything happen in politics, you better understand it was planned that way. So anything that's going on in this country that you see that sounds crazy and lunacy, it's crazy and lunacy to you. But to those guys who are doing it, they know what they're doing. There is a method to the madness. I want to show you, and I think it'd be better if I just go on and begin with the slides, because I have so many of them, and I'll just stop and comment as we're going. We're going to be able to, well, I don't know, let's see, is okay? Dollar bill, you'll see the back of the dollar bill, you'll see the symbol on the left-hand side of the bill. which is annuit coeptus, which means our enterprise is now a success, or our enterprise is crowned with success. Annuit coeptus. So you're saying, fine, so you have an enterprise and it's now crowned with success. What enterprise are you talking about? Novas ordo seclorum. Novas is novus, meaning new. Ordo is order. And seclorum is where we get the word secular, meaning the world. So it's new world order. George Bush's new world order is now a success. But the problem is this was put on the dollar bill back in 1934. 1934 is when the Federal Reserve actually finally took total control of the United States monetary system, and that's when they said it is now a success, because this is a symbol, this is an emblem of a secret society of Freemasons called the Illuminati, the German Bavarian Illuminati. They were a society founded in the south of they were called the Illuminati, the illuminated ones, the enlightened ones. They themselves to another group of Freemasons, France, in the south of France, referred to as the PRED. And so this symbol today, while it's on the back of a $1 bill, it is also incidentally on a document in the British Museum and in the Louvre Museum. Both have some of the original writings of that sect of Freemasons in Germany that are today on display. And on one of the documents, it has that exact symbol, annuit coeptus, novus ordo seclorum, and that was in 1774. The Bavarian Illuminati drew up their plans for what they were going to do in America and how they were going to do it. And that's kind of new. That's not just from 1934. That goes all the way back to 1774, 1775. It's a symbol of a secret society. The triangle at the top with the light emanating from around it is Horus, the god of the ancient Egyptians. Of course, this is an Egyptian pyramid. You don't find pyramids in America, you find them in Egypt. And that pyramid is the symbol of the eye, was in the Egyptian religion Horus, which was the newborn sun. Every morning when the sun came up, his name was Horus. There was the solar divinity in Egypt. Horus was God's son, the light of the world, who is risen. He is our risen Savior, our risen. And so Horus was referred to as God's son, and that's why the light is emanating from around, because it's the sun. The sun is a round eyeball of God. The ancient Egyptians believed the pupil of God was the sun, and he's watching you. And therefore, the sun was bright. And so today we even say someone who is extremely intelligent is brilliant. They're bright. And that's why God is, of course, the most brilliant of all. Therefore, the sun is the most brilliant because it's God's eye. All right, anyway, there are 13 layers on the pyramid. And the 1776, a lot of people think it's because of the country being founded in 1776. It has nothing to do with that. As I said, this is on a document published back in 1774, 75, and then in 1776, the Roman appeared on it in Europe. So what it amounted to is that the 1776 was when this secret society actually formed into a secret, like any other secret society or fraternal order. There's a few years, and then there's a time when they actually get a charter and come together and actually become an active organization. And then they get a charter from the government, and they actually are a legal organization. They were in operation in the 1760s, 1770s, but it wasn't until 1776 that they actually made themselves into a coherent order, and it was called the Order and Sect of the Illuminati. They were the basis for what we call today in our country the Bavarian Illuminati, basis for what we call today the Colombian faction. The Colombian faction of the Illuminati came here right after this government was formed, and that's where we get today Columbia Space Shuttle, Columbia Movies, Columbia Television, everything, Columbia University. As a matter of fact, Columbia TV, Columbia Broadcasting System, CBS. What is the symbol for CBS? It's the all-seeing eye of CBS. It's the Colombian faction of a secret society that calls themselves the Colombians, and that's why our government is in the District of Columbia, because these guys own our government. They print our money, and they own not only the government, but they own you. You are their property. As a matter of fact, when you're born, your birth certificate, on the bottom of the birth certificate, it says the Department of Commerce. It is a property of the Department of Commerce because you are nothing more than a piece of commercial material. That's why if you're out of work, you don't go to an unemployment office, you go to the office for what is called human resources, because you're just a human resource. So in other words, these guys print the money, they run the country, and they own you, and they own everything around it. And so they make the laws, and that's why they can decide who can coup and who can get away with whatever, because they make the laws and they decide, all right? The new order of the world, our enterprise is now a success. As I said to you before, there are 13 layers in this pyramid. There are 13 letters in Anacoeptus. We'll get into that, all of this symbolism later. But 13 is a very important number to this secret society. There are 13 stripes, there are 13 stars here, which make up the Star of David. The berries, there are 13 leaves, 13 arrows, there are feathers here, there. Everything is done in sequence of 13 because 13 is an unlucky number. That's why, 13 is an unlucky number, because the reason why we say it's unlucky is because it is a divinely inspired number. It has to do with God in the heavens, and therefore it's unlucky for you. And it's not supposed to be used by you. 13, of course, is based on, this is what we call Masonic symbolism. Freemasons designed this dollar bill. Everything is done in sequence of 13, and again, I draw your attention to the fact that you have 13 stars here, which collectively make up the Star of David. There's a reason why. Here, the dollar bill, just to show you how clever these guys are and how crafty they are, they, on the $1 bill at the top, you'll see this little image right here. I think I can make that. This is just a large, an enlargement from a photocopy machine, so it's not really that. But if you blow it up from an actual photograph, you'll see it is a little owl. The symbol of the Bohemian Society. The Bohemian Society meets in California on the last 2 weeks of July of every year. The Bohemian Society is another secret society that was spun off of a larger secret society. The Colombians have a little fun club, but they meet for 2 weeks out of the year in Northern California, and they're called the Bohemian Society. They meet in something called the Bohemian Grove. I have pictures, which I don't have with me tonight, but I'm going to have on my next lecture, showing all the living presidents, excluding the new one, but all of the living presidents at the Bohemian Grove in Northern California, and they're all wearing red and black Ku Klux dress type of regalia, like the Ku Klux Klanners, with the pointed headdress and everything. And I'm excited to see presidents dressed like Ku Klux Klan members, right? And they're standing in front of a big open pit of fire, and behind them is about a 25-foot owl behind them. And the article in Elm magazine and Time magazine, I've got 2 or 3 different magazines showing basically the same pictures. It says that the presidents meet with all of the heads of industry throughout the world, all of the heads of state throughout the world, and all of the most important wheeler dealers in this country, and they all meet up in Northern California, and they have rituals where they go before the owl after midnight. And then what a picture you got, with all the presidents dressed up like Ku Klux Klanners with black and red robes on before an owl. And these are your presidents of this country. And the reason why they chose the owl is because the owl is a symbol used in Europe by secret societies, because the owl is wise, because it sees things in the dark. The implication is, of course, that's why they are where they are, because they're very brilliant and they know things that you don't know. So they see things in the dark and they put their little owl on the dollar bill. It's just a clever little thing, but it shows you how these guys think. We get into Masonic symbolism. When you drive by a Freemasons the lodge, you'll see the compass and then the G in the middle. The G is for not God. Everyone thinks it's for God. It's not. It's for geometry. Actually, it goes back even further than geometry. In 1717, it was stood for geometry. But the G has been used by secret societies as far back as ancient Greece, meaning the generative principle, the principle of generation or sexual principle in nature. And so when you see that G, just remember it stands for geometry now. So talking about geometry, here is a geometric figure of a ring square. The circle the triangle, the square, all have all Masonic and spiritual meaning, as you'll see. But here we have the within the magic circle. Here's the Washington from above, the square within the magic circle. Incidentally, the monument is the Egyptian obelisk, another, like the pyramid on the dollar bill, another Egyptian symbol, because what America is referred to by the secret societies throughout the world as the New Egypt. That's a term that is given to them in their literature, the New Egypt, because our whole laws are based on the ancient magic of Egypt, the white and black magic. That's why your police cars have black and white cars, because it's the idea of black and white magic coming out of Egypt. And, you know, these people that run the country are really devious. But here we have the mystic star. I think I'm probably going to have to adjust each one. Here's the mystic star, to give you an example, is a 7-pointed star that's used in secret societies. You'll see it all over. 7-pointed star. Here's the Masonic Orders of Fraternity. Again, you'll see it. Golden Dawn, Enochian. Incidentally, as I said, this whole thing is going to be like a shotgun effect. I'm covering a lot of stuff. But the old symbol of Wayne in the movies, remember in the old movies when the taking off on the aircraft carriers, you'd always see the military doing the thumbs up signal, you know, when they're ready to take off, the thumbs up. Well, that thumbs up signal was developed for America by Aleister Crowley, one of the most master magicians the world's ever known. And he also developed for England, for Churchill, the victory sign, the V for victory. The V for victory is from the Jewish Masonic symbol for benediction and life. You'll see that in a few minutes too. But just to show you that symbols and emblems don't just happen. They're for a reason. They mean something. Again, we go back to the 7-pointed star. And California Highway Patrol, wait a minute, there it is. California Highway Patrol uses a pointed star. It has to do with the Enochian magic. And it's a magical 7, of course, is the same 7, but the reason why we have 7 days of the week. The synagogues have the 7-candle lampstand, the 7-rayed kingdom. Everything is done in 7. It's a very numbered. Here's a double, which was Roman Freemasonry. The double cross, which is Eastern, the Russian Orthodox, the Greek and the Eastern Orthodox Church uses the double cross, and it's appropriate because that's exactly what we're talking about here, a double cross. If we understand where that from, double cross implies that you've been deceived or been cheated or something. It means something, and I'll show you how it is incorporated into politics. Cross like here, and of course on Exxon you have the double cross. And I had a letter from the Exxon Corporation asking them if that was the double cross of Eastern Freemasonry, and they said yes. That's why we did it that way. So, I mean, they don't know if you are smart enough to figure it out. They'll tell you, you write them, and they'll be very honest with you. Here's interesting, to you, the 5-pointed inverted pentagram is generally, the inverted pentagram is regarded as something representing evil. The 5-pointed pentagram, of course, being 5, if you take the arms off of a pentagram, the star, and when you have just the inside, you have what is called a pentagon. That's why the United States has a pentagon. The pentagon is a symbol. That's why, incidentally, Chrysler can use the pentagon symbol as a Chrysler symbol, because they're the ones that produced all of the half-tracks and tanks and everything else for the United States during the Second World War for the Pentagon. So they still use the symbol of the pentagon. But what's interesting is that this is an upside down with the point pointing down, the 2 pointing up, and this is a symbol, of course, as I said, representing the devil, and you see a lot of these, and rapists, and you know what the 5-pointed here it is again, just showing you how it has its connotation with the pointing down, being the devil. Here's the first synagogue in Los Angeles of the B'nai B'rith in 1873, and up here, what do you see? Is the inverted pentagram. We're talking about this is the first synagogue in Los Angeles, and they're using an inverted pentagram, which everyone knows is associated from the earliest ages in the Middle Ages with devil worship, okay? Here's a 7-rayed kingdom of God, 7 flames and the 7 candles of light. Incidentally, the 7-candle lampstand in the synagogue, the 7 candles represent the 7 lights of the heavens: Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, the sun, and the moon. The 7 ancient gods of the ancient world. So when you see the 7 candle, that's a very holy 7-candle lampstand. No, it just represents the 7 little lights in the heavens. And each one of those lights, one of those gods represented a day, so therefore we have 7 days of the week to honor the 7-candle lampstand of the 7 ancient gods of the world. It's all very metaphysical, it's all very strange, and it's all very well put together. You understand how it works. Here's the shell oil. Let me back it up. I moved too quick on that. Here's the panorama mall, has an emblem, and I put the shell symbol next to it so you can see what we're talking about here in shell is a sun rising between 2 triangles. The sun rising between, that's a sunrise, it's not a shell. Just like the Toyota, you see the sun rising, and I wrote a letter to the Shell Oil Corporation, and I sent them like this, and I had some extensive research material I sent with them and said, is this true? Is this not, in fact, a shell, but is a sunrise, which is a symbol of a secret society in Europe, and it is used in this way? And they said, yes. I said, yes, it is a secret society symbol. It's been used for the last 100 years. Prince Bernard of the Netherlands was a secret society. And so when you drive by a shell, just remember, it's not a shell, it's a sunrise of a secret society, and I'll get into that, what it means later. And it's just to show you how emblems and symbols all around us, and we don't even know what they mean. Here's another one. The 8-pointed is 2 squares to each other. Get it better. There's a square here, and then a square here, and it's called the double square of Freemasonry. The reason for the double square, the first square means that you play fair and square. You know, when you play baseball the town square, and if you, anything which is legitimate and right to the secret society, to play fair and square. And if you go to jail, they'll give you 3 square meals. It's fair, it's the right thing to do, right? And so the whole idea is square means that everything which is right and legal and just, and everything's squared. So that's why even in court they say, well, your testimony doesn't square with the facts. It's square means things right and correct. When you superimpose another square, the implications of the second square, which you will see, means disorder. It's the intertwining of both order and disorder, meaning that you have the power over what is right and correct, and you also have the power over disorder and things which are not right and which are not correct. And so the same people control both chaos and order. Incidentally, that's why you have, well, I better not do that because that's going to come up in a minute. Here it is again, the double square Freemasonry. The chevron. Chevron oil is actually the double Freemasonry. This is 2 squares. Oh, wait a minute. This is 2 squares. What this chevron is, and that's the word chevron. You'll see on the military, the police wear them on their arms, and the military wears the insignias of power. They're called chevrons because they are squares. It's a box. That's a box, and this box is sitting on top of that box. And if you draw a line, you know, for a triangle back here, you'll see a square boxes sitting on top of each other. It's referred to as the double square or the chevron of Freemasonry, the double square of Freemasonry, okay? And so it implies that the powers that in this world have both control over revolution, trouble, anarchy, and they have control over good government and over righteous government. So they can do whatever they want. You want to have a good government or bad government, they can do the same. They can do whatever they want because they got the money and they got the power. Here in England, of course, it's more appropriate in England, is the double square Freemasonry in London at the Parliament. It even says the octagonal Central Library and has the double square Freemasonry. And of course I think it's appropriate there because they do in fact finance and organize and direct all over the world. All kinds of bloodshed and violence all over the world is being organized, directed, and financed by the United States government and the British government together, Britain and America, are the reason for violence and the chaos that we're seeing throughout the world today. In Yugoslavia, it's all been planned. This is all part of something that the United States is doing in the Middle East right now, and Yugoslavia is going to pay for it. Again, we have the double square. All right. Here is the double square Freemasonry worn by the Queen, and square is the Masonic square is referred to as the Knights of Malta square. This one is the British square Freemasonry. The Knights of Malta, you'll see it's like 4 little triangles coming together, but they don't actually have a point in the middle. It's round or a nothingness in the middle. You'll see that again in Arco, where the 4 little points come together but nothing in the middle. The Knights of Malta is the square of Knights of Malta is the pyramid from the top, looking down on the pyramid of Egypt without the capstone. That's because, remember, on the dollar bill, the capstone is not connected to the body of the pyramid. So flying over the top of the pyramid, looking down on the Great Pyramid, you don't have a point, because the chief cornerstone is not on the pyramid. And I just threw this in, I don't know why, but I did. Here's Under Life in Fascism. I wanted to make the point about political symbols. We hear a lot of people talking on radio and television about fascism and how bad the fascists are, and fascism this and fascism that. Well, in most cases, fascism or fascists have come to power after the nation has an economic collapse. Are we having problems economically or what? Right? A military defeat, Vietnam, and some other disaster. The fascist party wins mass support by promising to revive the economy and restore national pride. And that's exactly what the government's saying today. They need to restore national pride. Get Clinton in there to be president. And no one seems to realize Bill Clinton is a Rhodes Scholar, trained in England and London, England, and Oxford University, bought and paid for by the Rockefeller Foundation, financed and organized his education. He is nothing more than a yes man for the power elites in this country. They want another candidate because he looks good. Personal liberties are severely limited under a fascist government, which is, I'm saying that's what we have here. And the government also controls newspapers, or radio, and other means of communication. That's why I'm not on nationwide television, right? And it issues propaganda to promote its policies, and boy, does that. Let's see. Oh yeah, wait a minute. This is interesting. A police force crushes any resistance. I like the word crush, because that's what they do. You get in their way, they come out and beat your brains out, right? So here is a symbol of fascism. I thought I had one. Here it is, the French fascism. This is the symbol for a bundle of sticks with a hatchet head. Here is here's another, incidentally, behind a red shield. He's Robin Hood. Why? Because the red shield is German for Rothschild. The Rothschilds of England were a German in England who took over the Bank of England and took over 5 other banks in Europe and became known as the Rothschild banking dynasty of the world. The richest banking dynasty on earth, okay? Rothschild in German. Roth is red and shield is flag or a shield. So Rothschild. Fascist was an authoritarian political movement that developed in Italy, several other European countries in 1919. Its name was derived from the fasces, this thing here, an ancient Roman symbol of authority consisting of a bundle of rods and an axe. That's incidentally why we had Axis powers in the Second World War. Here's the bundle of sticks with the axe, and this is on the symbol. This is on the back of the dime. The symbol for fascism on the back of the American dime. There it is. I mean, this is a fascist country. And it says fascism is a dirty, evil government that takes over and controls the people. Well, of course it does. That's what's happening to us. We've been taken over and controlled by fascists. And why? And here it is, the President of the United States giving a State of the Union message, and what's on each side of him? The fascists. This is in the Congress. In the Congress, there are symbols of power for the President. There's 2 large fasces, and very few people have ever even noticed them. They're looking at this guy, and they don't even see these symbols of world fascist power, okay? In case you're so blind you can't see, I blew one up. I'm sure you can see it. That is a fasci. A bundle of sticks with a hatchet head, and it was used. Let me explain why it's a bundle of sticks. The idea was in the Roman Empire that Rome could not police the world. What Rome needed to do was to collectivize a police force. That's why George Bush keeps talking about it's not just us in the Middle East, not just us in the Middle East. It's we merely represent a contingent of a group of nations there, not just America. The concept of it's not one stick, it's many sticks joined together with a hatchet head. So one person, one government can't do it, Bush says. What we need is a united nations where we can all unite our sticks together, and now we got power. Now everybody crawls on their knees and kiss the boots because they have a collective consensus of fascist rulers. All these guys get together. That's like the East Side Mafia getting together with the West Side and bringing the New York boys and some of the families out on the West Coast, and let's put this thing together and really rape these people good. And that's what the symbol of fascism means. They now have an axe tied together with a consensus of power. We have a fascist world government right here in America. Here's the United States Senate. 2 fascis on the Senate. I mean, even in playing cards, you got fascis with the king and the jack. That means something. Reason why the ace is the highest card in the deck, that's something else. Aces are always higher than the king for a reason. Here's another symbol, a geometric symbol used in Freemasonry by these secret societies. A triangle, the pyramid, a circle again, and incidentally the pyramid or the triangle is important because it goes back to the old pyramid of Cheops, which incidentally, I don't know if you know this, but the big pyramid called the Pyramid of Cheops in Egypt has no peak, has no point. It's the chief cornerstone of the point. Circle represents, of course, the sun, always a circle, and it has to do with Stonehenge. Stonehenge is a symbol for the sun in the old Anglo-Saxon Germanic secret society. So that's why Stonehenge and the pyramid are connected. The numerology and the pyramid are both the same. There's a lot of interesting stuff there when you get into numerology of the pyramid and Stonehenge. But here's an example of how symbols are used. All right, here's a dictionary of Freemasonry, and here, I'll blow it up. You'll see the triangle and the circle again, and here's the cross and the crown, and we'll go that in Holy Bible, and the G again for God, which is actually geometry. But this is the triangle and the circle, okay? It's because of the triangle and the circle here. And it has to do with God. It's a symbol of God. It's used in Freemasonry. It's, again, we'll go through. Here's the Bible, Star of David, and up here at the top. Oh, and here it is. But over here on the bottom, it's called the Royal Arch. You may have heard of that in Freemasonry, the Royal Arch degree. And there it is again. And here you'll see it used in churches. The School of Theology at Claremont. Yeah. You see it right there? Used in churches because Claremont School of Theology, a Masonic college. It's organized and directed by a secret society in Europe. Yeah. And but people don't realize that because it's a church. It's custom holy. And there's nothing holy about it. This is a very powerful secret societies operating throughout the world behind our government and behind governments throughout the world. And they have tied themselves in and set up what they call a religious establishment. And the religious establishment is nothing more than a front man for a very powerful secret societies operating in the world. So they may look holy, but you better do your homework. There's more to religion than meets the eye. Here's the King and Queen of England with the triangle and the circle above them. And incidentally, this is a whole different subject of the British royalty. The reason why we call them the royal family comes from Egypt. Osiris, Isis, and Horus were the original trinity in Egypt that was referred to in Egypt as the Holy Family, the royal family. That's where they get the royal family, because of the triangle, the pyramid of Egypt, with God's son, Horus, rising. And so there's nothing holy about these people at all, okay? And when the King of England, interesting, when the King of England becomes king, the Archbishop of Canterbury, we have our religious, I don't know who it is, but when the King of England is crowned king, listen to what the Archbishop of Canterbury has the king say in his inauguration ceremony. Prince Charles, if he becomes king, incidentally he won't, but if he king would say upon taking the throne, the Archbishop says, "You are now being crowned King of England for Jesus Christ. You are sitting on the throne of David for Jehovah, the God of the Old Testament. You are, in fact, Messiah waiting for, or Shiloh, who is waiting for the Messiah to come back. So you are going to rule God's kingdom until Jesus Christ comes back." That's what the king is told in his initiation rites. The King of England sits on the throne of the God of the Old Testament for Jesus Christ. He represents God's kingdom. And of course we understand that God's kingdom is going to unite the world in some wonderful paradise condition, and therefore the England is referred to as the United Kingdom. So this is it gets very interesting when you see where royalty comes from. They're a holy family, but the whole thing is based on Egypt. pyramids, triangles. To give you an idea, El Salvador has the triangle, and they have the circle and triangle. Incidentally, let me go back here. There's a little thing, I'm going to have to get into that on my next one because I don't have any slides to really show you, but there's something called a Phrygian cap of liberty. It's a cap that the old French Illuminati Freemasons wore when they overthrew the French monarchy and the French Revolution. You'll read about in school the French Revolution, those guys who actually overthrew the French government and the French Revolution, they all wore a little cap. It was like a stocking cap, a red stocking cap. And that was a symbol of something called the Phrygian cap of liberty. It goes back to the ancient Roman societies in ancient Rome. And I'm not going to get into it because it's a very interesting subject on this Phrygian cap of liberty and many times and what it means. But the point I'm making here is that the triangle is within the circle even in Nicaragua. And, wait a minute, I'm missing something here. Nicaragua and El Salvador, right. And those are the two countries we had a lot of trouble with in war down in Central America because of this symbol here. That's what is causing the war, is a symbol in the middle. It's called the Phrygian cap of liberty. Just shows you how the triangle and the circle is used. Here's another symbol in Freemasonry. On the Bible, you'll see cross and the crown. The cross and the crown, of course, is the Jesus within the crown of salvation or whatever. And if you go back to Freemasonry again, you'll see the cross and the crown. Cross and the crown is actually a chart of Freemasonry, the Scottish and York Rite. We have two rites of Freemasonry in America. The two most important ones are the Scottish and York Rite. The York Rite comes from England, York, England. And when the York Rite came from England, and again I'm saying that this is a shotgun effect, we're aware of some interesting little connections. We can get into all of this later. But the York Rite comes out of York, England, and the Duke of York. Prince Andrew is the Duke of York. The Duke of York, the York Rite Freemasons come to America. When America was founded, the first thing they did when the York Rite Freemasons came over. And they set up what they call New York. And New York is the Empire State. That's why we have an Empire State Building. New York is the Empire State because it's the new state of the empire, of the New World. It's the New World's Empire State. And the Empire Strikes Back. We get into George Lucas, Steven Spielberg with their Empire Strikes Back and all of that kind of stuff. Because there's symbolism in these the Indiana Jones and all that, Star Wars stuff. But anyway, here's a Scottish Rite. They have 33 degrees. That's you have degrees of first, second, and third degree. At the third degree, that's why, incidentally, when you're in court or the cops pick you up, they give you the third degree. Right? Reason because the department is a Masonic. They wear the Masonic symbols of power on their arm. Incidentally, that's why they call the armed forces, because they use their arm to beat your brains out. And here's the 3 layers of Freemasonry, first, second, and third degree. They're giving you the third degree. Then once you become a third Mason, you can either go into the Scottish Rite or you can go into the York Rite. The Scottish Rite is referred to as the Egyptian Rite. Everything that they teach and believe is based on Egypt. Or you go into the York Rite and everything they teach and believe is based on the old York order, which is supposedly called Christian. Right? So at here again, you have Royal Arch Masons. Royal Arch is very important with the triangle and the circle, and there's the emblem again with the cross. The Order of the Red Cross is one of them, and here's the Order of Malta. When you're giving money to the Red Cross, remember where it's going. It's going to a Masonic order. And that's why, incidentally, Red Cross can go behind enemy lines during wartime and negotiate for prisoners. Why can they go behind enemy lines and you can't? Because they're part of the war. They are part of the establishment. They operate on both sides. So we got Royal Arch Masons with the triangle representing the pyramid within the sun. We got the Red Cross, the Order of Malta, and that's why Bush went to the island of Malta. They have this summit, and a summit is the top of a mountain, and the pyramid is the old mountain of God. And here's the York Rite with the Order of Knights Templar. Now I'm just showing you this so that, here is the pilgrimage to Virginia of the Knights Templars with the cross and the crown and the star with the Masonic handshake. That's the Knights Templar Masonic Order, and here it is on the Society of Jehovah's Witnesses. So a lot of people, poor Jehovah's Witnesses, they have no idea in the world that the man that founded their order, Charles Taze Russell, was in fact a York Rite Freemason. He was financed out of London, England by Lord Philippi de Rothschild. His money came from England to found an order called British Israel Freemasonry. He is nothing more than a Freemasonic conspirator to help the masters in England take over our banking system and our government and have everybody prepared to crawl on their knees and wait for God's kingdom, and Jehovah's going to come to save you. Don't bet on it.